Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Devin Sweazy with Sotheby's Realty in Marco Island, Florida. And this channel is to keep you updated on everything you need to know about the real estate world here in Southwest Florida. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe or even give a thumbs up if you find this video helpful. So today we're going to talk about some big news related to the recent settlement with the National Association of Realtors that has the ability to affect both buyers and sellers. There's two principal changes that will change how all realtors work with their customers. First, when sellers hire a realtor to market and sell their property, they typically pay a professional fee to their listing realtor and offer compensation to the realtor who brings the buyer. This compensation has historically always been viewed as an incentive to generate interest and activity. It's never been a requirement. It's simply just been common and a very successful practice. So think about for sale by owner programs or discount listing brokerages. Sellers have always been able to sell at whatever commission they were willing to pay. It doesn't mean it always led to a successful sale, but they did establish the commission they were willing to pay. Unfortunately, news coverage is falsely reporting, or perhaps better put, it's just misleading consumers to believe that sellers may no longer compensate the realtor who brings a buyer, and this is simply just not true. As of today, most homes on the market still offer buyer-broker compensation. And as this continues to roll out more and more, sellers will need to decide whether to continue with this practice of compensating the realtor who brings the buyer, considering that this decision will now have them competing and comparing against other properties where essentially everyone has the same objective of a successful sale. It's important to understand that individual brokerage companies can establish their own requirements on this topic as a condition of accepting a listing. It's also important to remember that even if a seller does not offer buyer's agent compensation at the time of the listing, there's still two scenarios where the seller could be asked to pay the buyer's agent compensation during the selling process. 1. Any realtor representing a buyer can request in writing that the seller pays compensation if they bring a buyer who purchases the home. 2. A buyer may include a contingency in their offer that requires the seller to pay their realtor. The seller has the decision to accept based on the overall attractiveness of the offer, often looking at what would be an acceptable final price and terms. It just simply becomes one of the many terms of the offer now. Another change relates to how this compensation is communicated. This truly is the real change here that I personally believe has been the most manipulated or misleading in our media coverage. Historically, realtors can easily identify this information in our MLS. However, moving forward, this information can no longer be displayed or shared on any MLS platform. Realtors now have to share it directly with other realtors that are showing their listings. So imagine I'm scheduling showers for my buyers that are coming in town. Historically, I'd have all this data printed and organized directly from my MLS, which is my information source. However, now I have to contact each separate listing agent to determine if a commission is being paid. If yes, then I have to request formal documentation because I now have to share all this data with my buyers as we discuss and present each home. This leads me to the most significant change in how realtors can now work with buyers. Moving forward, there needs to be a written representation agreement between a buyer and the realtor. This must be in place before ever even showing a home. This means that a buyer has to sign a document committing to work with the realtor at an agreed upon commission. I believe this is a huge disadvantage to buyers because a big portion of looking at homes is finding a realtor that you work well with, that proves their value in finding helpful and valuable information to share with you. This process will now need to be weeded out earlier in the process as your selection of a realtor has now become even more increasingly valuable. These new required agreements can be exclusive or they can be limited, applying to a geographic area or a specific list of homes that are shown by the realtor. But either option has to be clearly written and outlined on the agreement signed by the buyer before ever stepping foot into a home. The purpose of these agreements is to disclose the cost of services that the buyer is now responsible for, though it could be offset by an amount offered from the seller. But a portion of this agreement is that the buyer's acknowledgement of what they are willing to compensate their realtor, should the seller not offer compensation. So let's discuss an example. You're a buyer who connects with me. You're wanting to go see a few homes for an investment property purchase. I'll perform the full consultation. I'll understand your goals and your wants. You also will somewhat be interviewing me. Should you find that I'm your realtor of choice, I'll present you with the representation agreement. This is going to outline that I'm your realtor for a select amount of time in a specific geographic area or a specific list of homes that I'm presenting you. We'll then have to further discuss and agree upon my professional service fee, known as a commission. And as a buyer, you are now agreeing up front what my professional fee will be. Okay, so we've discussed my professional service fee. So we're going out to see properties and you have found the one. There's a couple scenarios. Let's say the seller is offering a buyer's broker commission. That means they're paying my commission so you, the buyer, don't have to. But let's say they're not offering a buyer's agent commission. We now have to discuss our offer strategy and negotiate terms of our offers so that we are considering that you, the buyer, now have agreed to pay me a specific percentage of the purchase price. This could play out a couple ways, but what I'm highlighting is that this now becomes another point of negotiation. In these scenarios, what remains the same is that there's an agreed upon commission or compensation for my services as your buyer's broker. However, who pays this commission is now up for negotiation. The purpose behind this is to disclose that real estate fees are negotiable. However, this is really no different than how business has always operated. These fees have always been negotiable. As a realtor, these changes mean we simply need to adjust how we communicate the seller's agreed upon commission to the buyer's agent. This also means that you, as the buyer, will know exactly what your realtor will be earning from the transaction before you even make an offer, either paid by the seller or paid by you, the buyer. Any real estate company, like all businesses, can establish their own fee structure. Buyers, like always, can anticipate a variety of fees based on the scope of services offered, the qualifications, the experience of the realtor, the reputation of the company. There is indeed a significant difference between realtors. So it's fair to say that that difference will determine the outcome and the quality of your experience. We are the largest affiliate in the Sotheby's International Realty Global Network. We know that homes do not sell for a fixed price, but a range, and it's determined by the knowledge and the skill of the person representing you. So more now than ever, who you work with matters. So what do you think about these changes? Do you think it offers more transparency, or does it make the process more complicated? Do you see this as a good or a bad thing? As most things in life, time will tell if this accomplishes what the lawsuit was seeking. The goal of my channel is to keep you informed on all things real estate related. If you have any questions, never hesitate to leave a comment or give me a call. I'm Devin Sweazy with Sotheby's Realty in Marco Island, Florida. Call me at 239-919-7400.